I know this felt disorganized, but this was more organized than usual when I do these. uh, all right, cool. We're live.
What?
I was like, wait, why do I hear myself saying this is disorganized? But it's because it's YouTube. Hello everybody. We're gonna wait for some people to join. I'm going to tweet this out. Um, yeah, I guess before we get started, welcome to Slayerfest 98. I'm Ian Carlos Crawford, and today we're going to do a live watch of the Agatha All Along series season finale. And I have Gabby Alexa, Ashley Hullett, Joe Organa, and Philip Ellis. And real quick before we watch, I am curious because I know I had an unpopular opinion about the finale. Gabby, what do you think overall of the finale?
I love the finale. There's definitely a sense of like, oh, there's something that I was looking for that I didn't get, but I still think overall Marvel doesn't stick the landing a lot, and I think this stuck the landing excellent.
Joe?
Oh yeah, I mean, I loved it. I'm not one of those naysayers. I tend to be just like, oh, so excited to be here all the time when with content most of the time. But and this was one of those cases. I loved it. I was very excited. I felt like it was very open-ended. I think there's more story to tell, and I'm excited for that story to continue.
Ashley?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I feel like I kind of agree with you, Gabby. I have some questions and I feel like I didn't get quite all the answers that I was hoping for, but also like of course they're not going to give us everything that we need the answers to because it's Marvel. So
That's also true. Philip, what'd you think?
Yeah, like as Gabby and Ashley were saying, in Marvel, there's no such thing as a capital E ending, so you're left a little bit wanting. And most Marvel things do not stick the landing. I, yeah, I enjoying the vibes, even though I think for me the plot didn't give me everything I wanted, but I still sort of love the show so much that I don't really mind.
All right.
Um, yeah.
I I mean I knew that like I was happy in our recording. At least Zachary felt a little mixed on it, but mostly I know that I'm in the minority. I saw a tweet and I'm actually going to just read what the tweet says because I was like, oh, I think this is my issue with the finale. Um, what's it say? I need some people to stop infantilizing Agatha and realize that she doesn't regret any of her actions. She's aware that she's a fraud who's been tricking and killing witches for ages. That's the way she is, and it doesn't make her a badly written character or like need to be forgiven. And I think that was my issue is I feel like they were trying to do both, like make it that she's evil, but also like he forgives her. And I'm like, why does he forgive her? Like,
It's it's so that, and it reminded me a little bit of the Loki finale where they give him this huge moment of self-sacrifice, and it's this full circle redemptive moment, and it's like, but wasn't he a lot more fun just to watch when he was evil? And I like that with Agatha, they did allow her to remain a bit more of an unapologetic anti-hero, and also they didn't do the thing where she lost her child and that's what turns her evil, which is obviously what we got with Wanda. There's a weird thing with like monstrous childlessness in Marvel with like Black Widow as well. But they were like, no, no, she's been killing and conning people like since she had the kid, like what since before the kid died. And it's not this loss that then makes her evil. Like she's always been this way.
see, I felt it was that. I felt it was a little because we didn't see her. We didn't My issue was we didn't see what she was doing before. Wanted something of like I kind of would have preferred a flashback of her and Death meeting. Like I think that would have been cool to see.
mm,
We
Um
saw none of that relationship, and that was one of the big things that was missing from the finale for me. And it's
yeah.
like they gave us the big same-sex kiss, but then I guess they were like, well, we can't put anything else in that might be edited out in China, and so they just sort of shied away from it.
Yeah, and I felt like I felt she was killing for Rio to have bodies so that way she didn't take her son because the one day when the son's like, "Mommy, I don't want us to kill," that's when Rio Death takes the kid. So I that's the only reason why I was like, but it does feel like she's doing this to keep her son alive. And then just like after that was like, well, now I'm a murderer. So yeah, I don't know. And
And
like yeah, Gabby, sorry.
I was gonna say that a lot of people have speculated that maybe her like making this into a long con where she's siphoning magic was then like a quest to get her kid back. So it still did feel like it was retreading the Wanda thing, at least for me. And so I needed to at least put Rio more into the narrative, give us that flashback, so that at least it's for love first.
Yes. I think, and I know I'm a grump about this shit, but I'm like, I have no intention of ever having kids. I don't want kids. And I hate the like, but the miracle of life makes you soft and makes you, and I'm like, get that shit out of here. Like, I don't want to see it. I don't want it in my media. Like, I would much rather it be like, well, she fell in love with death. So like that, you know, like, oh, they met when she was doing murders or something. Like, I think I'm more interested in that.
We don't need to see Agatha as a mother because Agatha is mother.
Also that, yes. Yeah, I think, I guess I wanted her to be full murderer or have a redemption arc, and it felt like they wanted to have both, and that like confused me often, where I was like, how am I supposed to feel about this? Like, am I supposed to think Billy's stupid because he's like, no, you're not bad, but like, we just proved that she was.
I actually have no idea why he said that. And then he's like, don't take all of it. Why did you trust? I would not trust.
No.
And then in WandaVision, she's like throwing like more like bursts of power at Agatha, and Agatha's sucking it up. So I was like, yeah, why didn't you do that, Billy? Why are you just like unfettered, just like, sending it to her?
Why did he then say, oh, take me? I was like, what?
Like, no, take her. She's like a mass murderer.
Yeah. But then when she was like, you heard him, take him, he was like, wait, what? I'm like, you said it though, bro. I don't get that part. That was where it lost me.
I think he thought she was gonna step up and be like, it's gonna be, no, take both of us, and then there was gonna be a fight, and she just didn't step up to that plate like he thought she was going to. Yeah. I thought, I don't think he was like fully thinking like, oh, she's not gonna back me up. I thought he thought she was gonna back her up, and then she was like, yeah, no, go for it, take him. I liked it because I was like, oh, I was expecting her to step up, and then she didn't, and she was like, yeah, no, take him, please. And for me, that was like, oh, okay, Agatha is really kind of an evil person. And then at the very end, she's like, God damn it, I have to do it, and she did it. I felt like it was a moment of weakness that brought her to the sacrifice rather than a moment of reality.
I like how in the finale, when she's, spoiler alert, a charmed CGI ghost, she says, "Don't you dare think that I sacrificed myself. I took a calculated risk, and I planned to come back as a ghost." And it's like, you can almost imagine that like it was a moment of like emotional weakness for her, and then she's like, okay, I have to like act really tough now.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can see that interpretation of it, which is why I'm not like super beat up, but there was just that thing that was missing where I was like, I don't really get the character motivations, I guess.
I think that's like, there was so many things that felt like it was a hint of motivation, but then I think maybe that's what bothered me so much, because it felt like we were getting an Agatha redemption, but yet there was no reason for Billy to want her to go with him, to not banish her, to say, take me in. Like, I just didn't understand all of that, because if we know that she's a murderer, it just makes him look dumb.
I really thought, when I was thinking about it, and I realized I got the events out of order, I was like, oh, is he saying take me because he feels guilty, because he feels responsible for the deaths, but he doesn't know that was him yet when he does that, right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, it's when she's a ghost that he learns that it was him.
So yeah, I don't know. It was very, Ian, you and I were talking about this, like, it's very American Horror Story Coven, where every other scene, characters have like switched sides. They hated each other, but now they're like sisters.
Yes.
And they just don't give you enough room to act, or like time to catch up with all of these shifting allegiances. And they did it like 3 times in like a 2-minute scene. It was a little bit confusing.
I feel like Billy did grow, have a connection with Agatha, and he saw her. She helped him in the end, at the end of The Witch's Road. I think he did appreciate that. And I think there was sort of a love-hate relationship for him with her, because he did see her as like a representation of this life that he has a disconnect from, and that he's, looking for a connection with. So I sort of understood why he wanted to save her, and I think he was trying to step up and be a hero, and he thought she was going to do the same thing, and that's just not her bag. She's not a hero.
Mhm.
So I think he was. I don't know. I think Agatha is just not one of those people who you're ever going to pin down as a character. She's always going to kind of live in the moment and do what she wants to in that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's valid.
I like that.
I think also what confused me is there were so often scenes, and like Catherine Hahn's great, where like you would see Agatha feel guilty and then like be like snap out of it, like almost like slapping herself to
Mhm.
be like stop feeling guilty. And I didn't understand why we kept getting that then. Like I was like, is that gonna lead to like, well, she had to kill for X, Y, or she like didn't, because like with Alice, I thought it was that she accidentally drained her because she looked
Yeah.
upset and then like was like, no, well, whatever. And
He's
like
like, I
kind of,
couldn't help it.
yeah.
They had set a precedent where when Agatha is lying, she gets super like theater with it. Like she's
Yes.
like, that's my coven you're talking about, right? So I'm expecting like, oh, so that's how we differentiate. And then suddenly we're not even getting theater Agatha because it seemed really real that she was
Right,
like, I
yes.
couldn't help it. But then she could later. So like that's what it felt like their storytelling like that they set up, that the finale didn't fully like give into that, but also maybe they were giving us that mystery around like you'll never know this character's motivations, and
Yeah.
I think it's exactly that, Gabby. I think I just imagine the fun they would have had in the writer's room to work on a character who is this juicy and evil and antagonistic, but also she's got like just enough of human relatability in her. And I think they just never wanted to give her the kind of the heroic redemptive arc. And so they kept pulling it back and making her nasty, even when maybe like to the point where like you can't consistently track like where she is.
yeah.
Just because they wanted to kind of keep, the Agatha-ness of Agatha.
Yeah, I agree. And I think she didn't care about the rest of her coven, honestly. And I think she would have killed Jennifer Kale if she had gotten the opportunity. I think the only reason she had any feelings for Billy was because he reminded her of her own son. And that
Yeah.
was her only point of emotional weakness in her entire life. Her previous coven that she ever had, the only other coven she ever had, tried to kill her, burn her at the stake, and she stole their powers. And I think maybe she had no empathy for all these witches that she killed. And over time, she just learned to completely take any empathy or humanity that she felt for them and lock that away. But then Billy, he represented a young witch, that male witch like her son, and that's why when Rio says that the boy's not your son, I think it really you do see a real emotion come from her, because
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
that was like the moment she realized that she was feeling an emotion for Billy.
I guess also because I do think you're right. I do think that's what we were getting at with Billy. But I said this in our recap recording. I'm like, what about that sickly Victorian child reminded her of Billy? Like, Billy's not even his age. She met him. Like, I just don't understand. There was nothing similar about them, and I wish there had been.
His name is
That would make
Timothy
sense.
Chalamet.
Like, I was just like, that boy was like 9, maybe 8. Like, I didn't see any he wasn't goth. He wasn't like this like excited gay fanboy type child. Like, I just
Do
felt
you
like
think that like even in WandaVision, Billy reminded her of,
maybe
and it's like kind of left over from that,
that
and
could
then
be.
grew
I could
along
see
the
that.
road?
Yeah, I could
I
see.
also think her kid was like interested in magic. Like we saw
True,
them
yeah.
like kind of playing with magic together, and he called it her purple and stuff. So I feel like
Mhm.
maybe his interest in magic felt like what her son could have been if Rio didn't take him.
So,
I think also Agatha just finds him interesting. I think she probably thinks like 99% of other witches are basic and boring. And so she doesn't
Yeah.
bother with them unless she's draining them. And I think, like Wanda, she's like, oh, you have even more power than me. And I'm like, I find that interesting. How can I use you? How can I teach you? Could I shape you and be like the mentor so that then I can like use your powers for myself? And I think in the reveal in the finale that she's known all along that the road isn't real. she's like, okay, like we're doing WandaVision Part 2, literally. Let me try and, work a better plan this time. Let's not antagonize him because that didn't work well when I did that with Wanda. So let's go a bit more like softly and, honey, not vinegar and all that.
So Jared in the chat
I do
said,
agree. That makes sense. Yeah. Oh, go.
Remember, Billy is a kind-hearted 16-year-old, so it feels in character that he doesn't want to see another member of the Coven die, which I could buy. And that with Alice, he believes that Agatha was still in a daze from being possessed by Evanora. So instinct took over, and it wasn't until Billy called out Nikki's name that she came to her senses with to stop draining her, but then it was too late.
Yeah.
I can see, and also but that brings up another point that I hate that Evanora was right. I'm like that. So her mom was right. Her mom knew she was a murderer and was like, let's get rid of her.
I don't know if she was right. I think
I wouldn't go that far, right?
I think trauma can really turn someone evil. You know what I mean? This is how she's dealing with the trauma of her childhood. I don't think she was probably born evil. I think her mother was a witch, and maybe, I don't know, there could be 1,000 different stories as to what her mother was thinking, but she could have also just been a terrible person that tortured her daughter.
I think it was that Agatha's a succubus, because other than us seeing the Wikipedia article and her kissing Rio, which I had to put 2 and 2 together to be like, oh, that was her succubus powers. So I feel like there's so many opportunities where a kiss happens amongst family members. Maybe she was like, oh my God, you're sucking people's powers, girl. Like, you suck.
Well,
but also, sorry, go on.
In the WandaVision scene, so this is what I was like, wait, are we rewriting what we saw in WandaVision? Because in the scene in WandaVision, she does revel in it. She's not she fakes when she's like, I'm so sorry, I can be good. And then smiles and laughs when she sucks all their powers. So that didn't quite read as oh, this innocent kid or teen or however old she's supposed to be, did good and the mom is doing something that read as someone evil. And I thought, well, with the Evanora scene here, we're showing that oh no, maybe she wasn't evil, but then it felt oh, well, she was. I don't know. I guess I wanted a little bit more, and it could be both, because in Pearl, I don't know if any of you saw Pearl, the mom was both terrible but also correct about her daughter, and I did like that nuance of this woman's awful, but also she's correct that her daughter is evil.
The Evanora stuff it reminded me of Carrie and Carrie's mother as well. That sort of terrifying Piper Laurie performance. And there is, and again, we're entering the age of Wicked now, and it's there's only so many times maybe that you can tell your child that they're evil before they start being well, my mother doesn't love me and she thinks that I should have died at birth, so maybe I'll just be fucking evil. Maybe I will,
right? That's what it
kill
felt
my
like.
toxic
Exactly.
Family. Yeah.
It was doubling down. She was
her.
like, if that's what you're gonna call me, then I'll be it.
Yeah.
I could see that. All right, do we want to get started watching the episode?
Yes.
All right, I'll do a little countdown. So just so you all know, we are only watching the finale because my computer would not upload the screen recording I did of episode 8, and Ashley saved us all and did a recording of episode 9. So I'll just do a 3, 2, 1, and then I'll do a 3, 2, 1, go, and hit play. So 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, this is the very beginning, right, Ashley?
Yeah, it's still in the previously on.
I will say a thing I'm really happy is that Jennifer Kale made it out, because I did think I was oh, we're gonna kill her too, aren't we? I really was they're all gonna die.
Yeah, I thought everybody was gonna go.
Yeah. I thought Jennifer Kale would, in the last trial, I was oh, this is gonna be where she dies. And I kind of hope she can, I wouldn't mind more of Jennifer Kale as the go-to witch, good witch in the MCU, or more neutral, chaotic witch. I thought she was fun. I liked all of them.
She brings a great eye rolly energy to the whole thing. I did love the mushrooms as well, by the way.
What do we think of Wiccan's costume? Because I love it. I do love it.
Oh,
it's
so good.
It's like opening a page of Young Avengers.
Right? I feel like it's one of the more comic accurate while still fitting in with like real world.
Because he's still wearing like jeans, right? Which
Right,
I really liked. I did not want him to have the bulky costume. They've just completely given up on like a reason why they change clothes. Now they just magically are changing clothes.
I was like, where did you get that? Yeah, when I was doing my live watch, I was like, wait a minute, but where did he get this costume? Like, did he always have it? And he was like, this is in case.
Just like waiting.
Yeah.
It should have been like 1603, them meeting.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
I think that would be fun to see.
Mhm.
Like,
And I had a problem with this part because where does she get a lemon from?
I
It's
like that
1750 in America. I
A
was
lemon
like,
tree. I don't know.
my first thought was, where is she getting a lemon in New England in 1750?
She's a witch, Joe.
They imported
Yeah,
that
she
shit.
conjured it.
She must have imported that offensively.
Also, when I was watching, I was like, oh, is she like doing a spell? Is that why she's cutting a lemon?
Like, oh, she's making a martini.
Yeah, oh, good for her. And I will say, Catherine Hahn, like, I feel like got the flex.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's so
Yeah,
good.
she was incredible these last
Yeah.
2 episodes.
Yeah. Because I feel like normally she gets more of a like funny sidekick role, but like this was like, she was like, oh no, I'm going to show you acting.
Oh, especially in that last trial, it was really
Yes.
heart-wrenching, actually.
Oh yeah. I actually watched a great interview with her with I think it was NPR, talking about how now that she's like 50 and she's going through menopause, they were like, oh yeah, like, you know, women don't get as many great roles. And she's like, no one's ever looked at me to like for sex appeal. I'm getting great roles now. And I love that for her.
She's always comes off like super confident, which I love.
Yeah, yeah. She's so cool.
Ugh. And she meant it. She stood on that.
She
Mm.
did.
Years.
I appreciate someone who can hold a grudge.
Mhm.
Come from a long line of Puerto Rican women who hold a grudge.
Ugh.
And Aubrey's also selling the "this is my job. I didn't want
Yes.
to do this to you," which is
Yeah.
what she's already said.
Because you can tell this is someone she cares about. Like, she's
Mhm.
like, I gotta do this. This is like my role.
If only we'd seen that relationship.
If only. The most we got was my love right here.
Yeah.
Mm.
And in our recap recording, I can't remember who said it, but someone was like, they probably couldn't, like, maybe they wrote that, but they couldn't, and the kiss was more of a like kiss of death, so it's like less
No
like
homo.
it's like
They could get away with it.
They could brush it off.
Yeah.
as,
I felt
no
the same
homo.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I
think
didn't even think about that, but I do think that's true.
they've really been backdooring all of the gay into the show in a way that, like, if you know it's there, it's like right there in front of you.
Yes.
Mhm.
Which I do like.
I still
Wait.
don't think that this could be played in China, but it's TV, so they can do whatever. People are
Yeah, I think-
VPNing over
right.
there.
Yeah. What
Oh,
minute
yeah,
are
they'll
you
make
all
it
at?
a-
Because I accidentally just like jumped ahead by accident. I pressed the wrong thing. Because Nana doesn't know how to operate
We're
technology.
at 502, 504.
Okay, great.
Hopeful music
Lovely
playing.
music as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Serenity Q in the comments said that they wanted Wiccan to have a magical boy transformation like Sailor Moon. I would have loved that too.
Hey, I saw someone being like, "This is what Cat Williams was talking about how they're putting all the guys in costumes." I was like, "No, you don't get it because you're straight. It's
Yeah.
you don't get it." What?
Also, I will never get over Cat Williams, who dresses the way he dresses, complaining about like.
You're so right.
Oh, Rory, yeah, I'm glad. Rory said it exceeded his expectations, this series. I also did feel bad for all these other witches. I was like,
I
man,
felt so bad.
Yeah.
They're all being
But
like very kind
also-
to her.
Also, we'll see in a few seconds. Someone's like, "Who let her in?"
Uh-huh.
Great question. Why are you stupid? Like, you're supposed to vet a little bit more strictly than that.
Well, I
He's
think
just like,
I
"Oh,
think-
the baby."
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think her having the baby, it's like this is the beginning of their
Yeah.
grift together, and the baby disarms people, and I think she's seeing that and using that to her advantage, and I think this harkens back later to when she meets Billy, and she keeps him around, obviously, because he has that sigil on him. But then probably her using him to get this coven together, like she used to do to seal these witches' powers, it reminded her of this, this time, this
That
beautiful,
adds-
lovely time.
That adds more to why she felt like he
Yeah.
was similar to her kid who died at like age 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this analysis of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I know I have a lot of complaints about the finale, but I still overall love the series. Like I still
Same.
like,
Oh yeah.
like it's wild that we got this and X-Men 97 this year because both were such like bangers.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a period piece, I really do.
And
In-
this came like a few days after I did my annual Hocus Pocus rewatch, and it's just it's
Nice.
yeah.
Wait, Joe, were
Oh,
you
I
being
see.
sarcastic about period pieces?
No, I love it. I do.
Okay.
I
'Cause
love.
inversely, I see this and my brain clocks out immediately. I'm like,
Really? No, put anything in like a period, like a horror movie in a period. I love it. It sucks me in so much. I'm a big history nerd.
It was also giving a little bit what was the
The Witch.
1666, the Fear Street
Oh,
trilogy,
yeah,
where
yeah.
it's all set in the witch trials, and yeah.
I will say Lilia did call it from the beginning, where she was like, Agatha's the reason witches have a bad name, not witches aren't like her, but she like
Mm.
that all the like bad things people think of witches come from her, and she was right.
One thing I didn't quite understand though is I think it was Rio saying, "Why do you let everyone believe that you sold your child for the Darkhold?" And Agatha's like, "Oh, the truth is even worse." And it's like, what? That your kid died?
Right? Like
Yeah.
that's not worse.
That's pretty bad. Like,
Yeah.
Maybe she just doesn't want to face it, and it's easier for her to just let people assume what they want. You know?
Yeah,
I
Philip.
thought she was saying that it was worse in that she used her child for years to con people
Could be
and then
that.
took the song that they had together and used that to
Made
further
him.
con people.
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, oh, did she like trade her firstborn for some power in the past? And that's why when she was giving birth, death showed up.
Maybe
Hmm.
that's a good shout.
Hmm.
I love this bit though, where you're actually getting the origins, and it's this really sweet thing
Yeah.
that's just going to become so messed up.
I've been pole dancing to the Ballad of the Witch's Road for all of October. And when I saw this, I was like, I can't do that anymore. Now it's a deeply heartbreaking
Why
song.
not?
Pack up the pole, pack it up.
Single moms, do it.
Gabby, I love that.
I haven't since. Like I'm not even I was like jamming to it and now it just feels so moving. Ugh, it's like this little kid.
Yeah.
TikTok with Bloody Mary, so good.
Oh yeah, that mashup is good. Also, I'm just gonna throw this out there because Ashley, did you see the TikTok I put up of that Agatha Willow thing? How well it's doing.
Yes, I have.
Also, how insane everyone is in the comments. I was fighting with them. I never usually reply on TikTok.
I was like, ooh, people are big mad about this.
That's how it was on Twitter and Instagram too when I posted it. In Buffy season 7, they have an Agatha Harkness reference because she was like so much more obscure then.
Oh, they say Mrs. Harkness,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
When
yes.
Giles is talking to Willow and they're in England and she says something like Miss Harkness, or he says you sound like Miss Harkness, and it is a like Joss Whedon in an interview said that it was an on purpose reference to Agatha Harkness
Wow.
because like back then it was more of a deep cut.
Yeah.
We still don't know how Agatha got the Darkhold.
Yeah, I will say the series had me so like I love this that I wasn't even thinking of the
Yeah.
fact that that is a plot line we need to like
still explore. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like because she's and we'll get to it, later on in this episode, we kind of see her through the ages pulling that con again and again. I wish there'd been maybe a bit more of like Agatha through the years, just being
Yeah.
a stinker.
Yes. Yes.
But the scene that we're gonna see that takes it from like the con into her, like Billy, like conjuring it. I love that juxtaposition. So I feel like that's why they kept that out, because they wanted to just show the con into. But
it was a really efficient way of bringing us back up to like the current timeline. Yeah.
And to show like she has been doing this consistently. I do like the montage with all the even though I was annoyed, I thought I loved the like showing us what time it was by the outfits. Like they're still in the woods. It's like nondescript woods, but like the costume designer was like, wait, we're gonna do this.
Very good.
The 90s one where she's wearing like the leather jacket, the rosary. I was like, this is the girls in the craft conjuring the spirit. Like it's the exact scene. I loved it.
Philip, I love that outfit the best. This like sweet little child just like hop dancing.
This is like the 1730 version of a TikTok sound.
And I do love Catherine Hahn when she does Agatha's pretending voice, and it's just so shitty.
Yeah. It's like she's a really good liar, but she's a terrible actor.
Yeah.
That kid can run fast.
Yeah, he's fast as fuck.
That's a big field.
No, you won't.
Oh, Gabby, you just blipped in and out.
Yeah, I don't know. My internet gave up and came back. But the show was playing, so I was like, that doesn't make sense. Oh. Ooh. Okay. My audio is back in my headphones.
Okay. I do like when I think they like it's shot really well when Rio shows up, and I kind of like that she just doesn't say anything.
But it's also like, go back and give your mother a kiss.
I was so confused how he knew, because I'd have been like, why are you pointing? You just said come, now you're saying go. Like, I don't get it. So someone tweeted that they were like, oh, maybe she visited before, and like this is like a common like kind of rapport between them.
That makes sense. I didn't even think about that, but that does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, she would be following them throughout time. Like, I'm sure he's seen her before. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like, he wasn't like, who the fuck are you? And like, what's going on? He was just like, oh, hey, okay.
My friend,
yeah.
my other mommy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
I think also it's just so symbolic that, death comes for all of us, and I don't think anyone, I don't know. For me, it's just like he went to death because it was his time and he knew,
Yeah,
or
I knew.
something. But for me,
Yeah,
that's how I interpreted it.
It
that makes
reminded
sense.
me of the novel that was everywhere years ago, The Book Thief, that's narrated by Death. And
Mhm.
he says, like, and it's set during World War II, and he's like, well, the children, when he came for them, he would hold their hands, and
Mhm.
that's what they're doing now.
I did not
It's
know that
really,
book.
really lovely.
The narrator was. I had no idea that that's who the narrator was in that book. I own that book, but I've
Yeah,
never read it. My mom loved it.
it's fine.
I also like that she didn't like come full skull face for
Yes,
him. She was
Mhm.
Yeah,
like
and I feel like
a
that
normal.
was on
friendly
purpose, right?
face.
Like not to
Yeah,
like,
for
yeah,
sure.
because I do think like again, it's like that's just her job. Like I don't think she like reveled in it. I don't think she was
Right.
No,
like,
I don't think death is evil,
yeah,
It's exactly as it's natural. It's just a
Hmm.
part
Hmm.
of the cycle, and it's an essential purpose that she fulfills.
yeah. Oh. You're right, Gabby. It's like this would be a sad like pole dancing to this like now.
Just sad
It has
twerking, like.
completely, it has transformed the last 4 weeks for me, for sure.
This woman is clearly just burying someone. Like, leave her alone.
Yeah.
Catherine Hahn is so good.
It makes me wonder, did she also make up the rule where within 3 miles you'll find a coven, or is that actually true?
Right? Yeah.
She
Because
probably
like
just
there's
thought,
there's so much there's so much quibbling about, the different versions of the ballad and how you interpret it, and it's all lies.
Yeah.
didn't feel like traveling very far. She was walking a lot back then,
Yeah, she's like, I'm not doing a lot of traveling here.
I was also thinking it's really easy for her to get these witches to blast her, but maybe that's just how witches settle their differences. I don't know.
Yeah. I see, I guess like my biggest problem with, and I know this isn't like, not my biggest, but one of my problems. Like every witch is stupid. Like
Yeah,
every one of them. And I don't like that. Like every
I
single one of
mean,
them fell for the con. Everyone.
I understand them falling for it because she was being really fucking rude. But what I don't get is if her plan was to steal the magic of her most recent coven, of the Lilia coven, why did she tell Lilia that you have to blast her for her to steal your power? She shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inconsistencies there where it feels like halfway through the show they were like, no, she is gonna be evil instead. That's like a thing I don't get. And she did like seem to at points be like, get out of the way, like, come on, we gotta go with certain things. I don't know.
It makes more sense now why she was protective of Teen during the trials, because she knew it wasn't real. She's like, oh, if he dies and we're still in here, like,
Oh,
do
true,
we get
yeah.
stuck here?
Oh.
I didn't think about that. I love the leather jacket look is so good, but I also love
this sequence that a second time around is hitting so much better. I love it.
Yes. Hey, Jonathan.
And then you get to Mrs. Hart. Oh,
I love her.
My queen.
Just there for a good time. I do like the reframing of the scene where it's like Agatha's interrupted in her shtick and she's like, wait a minute, what is that?
She's gooped.
She's
Yeah.
like,
I've been doing this for hundreds of years.
She's like, did I do that?
Right.
she'd also told Billy to wait upstairs because she was about to do a murder.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Not now, honey. Mommy's doing a murder.
That reframes it a lot. Oh man.
The blue light, like his blue power.
Mm.
Wow.
I do think Ghost Agatha looks a little better than Ghost Evanora, but it still does.
I agree.
It still is giving a little charmed.
Yeah.
I also kind of like that she's like into being a ghost. Like she's
yeah.
this is cool.
Yeah, I'm a ghost.
She's going to be a really good ghost as well, like a really fun one.
Yeah. Saul and the craft posters on his wall, and the Trans Lives Matter poster.
Also, Rio, we know that she hates ghosts, so Agatha's probably like, hell yeah, now I get to torture her back.
I forgot.
Yeah.
about
Oh, I
that.
thought it was because she said, like, oh, I don't want to see your face. And since death doesn't walk her to the afterlife, she's a ghost.
Oh.
That's smart.
I didn't think about
I mean,
that.
I don't know if that's a correct reading of what happened, but that's how I translated it.
I could buy that.
Yeah, like she
Listen.
found a loophole.
Y'all just say something with a confident voice, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. Like, any of y'all use your top voice, and I'm like, yes, that is correct.
And that's how Agatha lures all those witches to the road.
Yeah,
You know?
100%.
I'd also be a dead witch. I am curious if the road is like still there now. Like, did it create it, or was it like just?
Jonathan Joseph calling it all Agatha Long is killing me. That's so funny.
I did feel bad for him because he did, not that he murdered them, but like he did kind of.
He facilitated it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he is a Maximal.
We've all been there.
Among us.
I mean, it really, Agatha killed Alice. Like, she sucked the magic out of her. So I wouldn't feel that responsible for that one.
But
And then Lilia went willingly to like handle a problem that would have been there whether the road appeared or not.
I
Sharon.
agree. And I like that Lilia's episode and her death still kind of hold up and are still meaningful.
Mhm.
Because that's
Yeah.
the highlight of the entire show for me.
see, I think
Yeah, that's my favorite episode for sure.
it is my favorite episode. I do think this ending kind of undercut it. Like, I really do, because it's like she saved them so Agatha and Billy could do this.
Right. Yeah. So they could go find Tommy.
But
And,
I like
and Jen
this.
got her powers back.
Jen. Also,
She is
I'm
now
annoyed.
the High Priestess.
I'm annoyed that this scene was in the trailer because I kept waiting for this. Like, I knew this scene was in the trailer. I thought it was going to be like in her trial, fake her climbing out of the dirt, but I am glad it.
Yeah.
The end of Texas
I thought it was
Chainsaw a
like
little
when
bit.
they got banished, like flung. So when it
Yeah.
wasn't the next episode, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I can't help but think she flies exactly the same. But, like all three, Agatha, Billy, and Jen all fly the exact same
Yeah.
position.
Oh, like Wonder as well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
like Jen's now going to tell everybody the road is definitely real.
Yeah. I thought about that too.
Yeah, I think they fly that way because they're using their magic like
like-
for momentum. I
Kinda
have
like
the
what Iron
Iron
Man
Man
does.
VR game, and I couldn't play it for like literally a year because I didn't have the core strength to keep like balancing in VR. And
I didn't
feel
even know
like
there
so
was
they
an
all-
Iron Man VR game.
Oh, it's amazing. But I feel like they all fly like Iron Man, which
Yeah.
is with the like the repulsors on the
Repulsor,
arm.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that it's been a couple days and they already boarded up her doors. Like, oh, she's
I was
gone.
at Jen for Midnight Suns, period.
Yes. Yes. And I think, Philip, you're right. It's like she's a really good, like, little bit more sensible and eye-rolly. And like I do love having that character in the Marvel like stuff because I don't know, I feel like that's like a not quite Jessica Jones, but a little bit Jessica Jones, and I always love that.
It's a really tricky thing to pull off of being like, oh, I'm magical and I can like heal people and I make potions and all of these fantastical things are real, but also like she's incredibly grounded and she's like a Gwyneth Paltrow scammer, and it's just like, yeah, there's this she's got so much cool stuff going on.
Yeah. I forgot that was her job because I love in the episode where they're in the Nancy Meyers house and she's like, I look like one of my customers. I was so mad by the end
Ian,
of
that
this.
would be you as a ghost. Are you ignoring me?
Yeah. Are you mad at me?
Are you mad at me?
I'm a ghost. Yeah, when I first watched, I was like so mad at Agatha. I was like, banish that motherfucker. Like, I want her out of here. I hate that she like tricked all these witches that I loved. I was like so mad.
Here looks like Wanda in Multiverse of Madness with all like the
Oh yeah, I can see that.
spooky
Yeah.
candles.
Also, Gabby, I don't know if you'll agree with me. The only reason I want them to hold off on Midnight Suns because I want them to be able to include the spooky X-Men characters as well. Like, I really like Majik with all of them, and I wanted them to be able to like have the mutants there too.
I mean, I wonder if they're just going to do many iterations of it.
Yeah, that's true, and that's fine.
Because it seems like they're fast tracking Midnight Suns now.
Yeah, which is like, all right. I think they're realizing the spooky stuff goes over well.
Well, this is like the most interesting thing they've done in forever. Like,
yeah. And like, I loved Werewolf by Night. Like, I thought that was like so fun.
Yeah. Like, even the spooky parts of Moon Knight.
Yeah. I didn't love that series, but I think the spooky stuff worked in Moon Knight.
I saw so many tweets being like, this ungrateful little kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did we watch the same show?
Right?
Because-
Like, I saw a lot of tweets like that, and I'm like, what did you watch?
He has every right to banish her right now.
This does make up for him idiotically giving her his magic.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
Also, the like, why won't you just die will never not make me think of Austin Powers when there's that lady that like, won't die. Which I know is a real dated reference. I would wear this outfit he's wearing. Oh, I have my Wiccan.
I love that the Breton stripe is back. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't understand the turn that we get here. Like, I don't quite get why this makes him turn to be like, all right, yeah,
The writers are like, we've got 3 minutes left.
Yeah,
And
like-
we need to end on a positive note. So just everybody, like, act your way through this weird writing.
Speed it up, gals. We only got a few minutes.
How is he sure of that?
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just like, he's a kid. He's a kid. He's a kid.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's what Jared said, that he's like, 16 and sweet.
And he's like
That's what I
obviously
tell myself when I'm
desperate.
watching Heartstopper.
He's like obviously desperate for like a magical
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
Jonathan,
only
we're on
kind
Zoom.
of, it's the only kind of people who know him, like for real, like his parents don't.
Mhm,
True.
mhm.
Yeah.
He wants a drag mother.
I mean, Agatha would have a gaggle of gays that are like obsessed with her, even with the murderous
Oh.
part.
I also think Agatha showing him any moment of humanity is probably because she holds it back so much, and because she's so often fake or pretending or putting on a front. I think any moment she's raw and real will catch you off guard, and
Mhm.
maybe that's just what he's looking for, is just for
That's
her
fair.
to be honest and open with him.
Joe, I feel like I'm like, this is why I hate this. And you're like, well, Ian, this is why this maybe is.
Well, I mean, it's just the way I interpreted it.
No. Yeah.
I think Joe made some great points to like balance out.
Yeah. No, I think so
Thank you.
too. No, I wasn't
Because
trying
I
to
feel
be.
exactly in the
wasn't-
middle. And I was like, wow, I like to hear like the angel and the devil on my
Yeah.
shoulders.
No, I do. Listen, that's the thing I always like about doing this podcast that I feel like people don't quite get, is like, I like hearing, like when I have people on for Buffy that like do like this character and don't like this guy. I like hearing that stuff because it's like, we all like the same thing.
Yeah, it's nice to hear it from different perspectives. We all see it differently, so it's nice to see it from different angles.
Yeah.
Marvel as like a fandom genuinely expects like you have to either love it 100% or hate it 100%.
Yeah.
I have a
So
question
ridiculous.
about so he's just made this very beautiful witchy monument for the 3 women who died. Are their bodies just like in the old subway system under
Right.
Westview?
Right.
Like, everyone's like,
I
where's
thought the
Mrs.
same thing.
Davis? Her yard is overgrown.
And like, who is seeing this? No one will find this unless they're like destroying her house or
Basement.
selling
And,
it. Yeah.
and also, my first thought was, you're incriminating yourself. There's like an incrimination happening.
Yeah.
These 3 women that are missing, their names are now in the ground.
Yeah. Wow.
That's the end. I will
Yay.
say the like leading into the next thing didn't bother me as much as it often does, because I felt at least like that made like we knew that's what Billy wanted, so I was okay with it being like, now we're gonna do that journey. Just I don't know, did that bother any of y'all? Because it didn't bother me that much here.
No.
It didn't bother me at all,
Nothing.
especially because they showed us in the last episode that they're finding the body and that they put him in a body, and we see the flashes and not the face. So I'm already like, well, he's in a body.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they even
Yeah.
described his like his quality of life, not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if they'd tried to resolve the quest for Tommy in this episode, it would have just been like, there would have been too much plot going on. It wouldn't have been satisfying. Whereas it's like, we've been on this journey with Billy and Agatha.
Yeah.
We've told a relatively self-contained, satisfying story that is now at a natural close. So it's like, great, yeah. And then it's the Marvel thing. They're always going to be heading off in search of something else. But because I think we'd already kind of resigned ourselves to the fact that like, okay, yeah, they're going to be teasing some other project. It's done in a way that like, I'm not left hanging. Like you have an idea of what's going to happen next, but I'm full up from the meal I've just had.
Yes.
Yeah. I honestly think what hurts Marvel with this is that they are only dropping limited series. So we don't ever think, oh, like we'll get this in a season 2. We're like, I think there will be another Marvel project that follows up, but we don't even know. And I think that leaving it up in the air just gives people anxiety.
That's what Zach said in our recording for the finale. He was like, I love this, but like, when are we getting the rest of that? Like, who knows how many years is it going to be till we like continue this part?
Right.
And I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
It was, I think, 4 years between the first Iron Man and the first Avengers like team up movie. They introduced like Kate Bishop like 3 years ago, and we're still like no closer to a Young Avengers like project happening.
And like,
and she was like 21 when they introduced her. So I'm like, how old is she now?
Yeah,
and,
like
She's not
youngish
Young Avengers.
like-
Youngish.
like it feels like she'll be the same age that the Avengers were in the first movie
Yeah.
by the time we get to it, which is fine, but like, yeah, and I was saying that about Joe Locke too. It's like he already looks more adult than he did, right, Ashley, from like the beginning of Heartstopper, clearly, because he was like actually a teen. And I'm like, well, he is going to mature, so it's like, well, how long are we waiting before he meets the and like, yeah, like I feel like they do need to maybe speed this up a little bit.
Yeah.
Someone asked, is the search for Tommy going to happen in Vision Quest? But their original plan for Vision Quest was going to mimic the comics. It was going to be like Vision starting a family like of robots.
So I'm wondering, I'm wondering if the success of this will make them change that, or like they'll somehow like smush them together. Or I was wondering if maybe they'll do the Children's Crusade story, but make it be they're looking for Tommy. I don't know.
You're all speaking gobbledygook. I don't know what any of this means.
The Children's Crusade is like a really popular arc in the comics where they go searching for Wanda as the Young Avengers. So,
okay.
And it's like Children's Crusade because they're all kids.
Yeah.
Again, that's why it's weird that Kate Bishop was introduced at 21.
Like we have to use a different name for these things.
Right. So that I guess people are thinking that they're going to do the same, but search for Tommy, but I still think that they're gearing up to search for Wanda.
Yeah.
I think they're going to do a Children's Crusade on Battleworld.
Again, Philip, I know it's
well, no, I was like, is that like, that's on period. That's on Battle World. Am I saying it right?
Battle World, Nana. Thirsty for Jersey said that those tombstones are going to hurt the resale value of that house.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because it looks like people died in the basement in a satanic ritual.
And they kind of did.
They kind of did, yeah.
Right.
Their bodies are probably right down below.
Yeah. Jared asked, what do we think Jen's response to seeing Ghost Agatha would be?
Something snarky.
Like unamused, like not
Yes.
even moved. Like
Yeah.
just she's like, oh, of course you'd be a fucking ghost.
Like, oh,
yeah.
you're still here. Okay,
Well,
you
what
died
was
and
the
you're
thing
still here.
the thing she said when like, Agatha first walked into her store and she was like, oh, how you been? Terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, how you been? Dead? Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like Jen was the one that consistently couldn't stand her throughout the whole show. Like Jen did not like warm up to her, rightfully
And
so.
Agatha never warmed to her either. Like when they wake up in the body bags, like horrific.
Yeah.
And then and Billy goes to like let Jen out. She's like, don't steal her struggle.
Yeah.
Let her do it. Let her do it.
Yeah.
So mean.
Yeah, I like that because it's like less, I don't know, it's less precious. I like that it didn't have to be that they were like became friends and liked each other. Because Jen and Lilia did eventually, I feel like, become friends and seemed to like each other before Lilia died.
Yeah, that is what's heartbreaking about it. Is like I thought they were all getting along.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I still have my issues, but I was able to enjoy it more on this viewing, like yapping with all of you. I'm sorry I'm so bratty about this. I promise I'm never usually the hater with anything Marvel. Like
I was so upset when I woke up to your text of being like, I fucking hated it. I was like, no.
My gosh.
I mean, it's still like one of the top 3 Marvel television projects for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, 100%. That's another thing where it's like I can say I didn't like the finale. I really fucking hated it. I hated the writing of but I still can say I love this series. You know what I mean? Like I can still like, because people were real mad in the comments on my reaction video because it was just me being like, I hate this. I hate. I have no. I still felt zero emotion when she's with her child and it dies because I'm just like, that was like 5 minutes. I don't know. Am I supposed to be so attached to this child that did nothing? Like,
I mean, I also hate children, like real life ones, but I had an emotional reaction when the fake one died on TV.
The fake one died on TV.
I did think it was like, wow, like Marvel and Disney Plus are going really hard, like showing like the back of the dead kid's head and she's waking up next to him and like stroking his hair. I was like, this is like they're going a lot darker and further than I thought they would. Like it doesn't pan away.
Yes.
So if nothing else, it gave Mother Han some more meat to chew on acting wise.
I mean, like, she definitely, like, I know that they like often don't, but I feel like the same way with WandaVision, this show is like a caliber of show that would deserve like some awards. I mean, it probably won't get any, but I feel like
Oh, it'll be like a Saturn Award or something. Yeah.
yeah, but I feel like especially Patty LuPone's episode, like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. I think the thing that I loved about the Patty LuPone episode as well is like it wasn't doing anything new. It was, like Mike Flanagan in like his haunting shows, like there was the Bent Neck Lady episode and the Hannah Gross episode that kind of do very, very similar things where all of these bits are coming together in like a non-linear way. But they had Patty LuPone doing it, so it just like it was so good. Like she didn't have to sing; she just had to make you cry.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what they hired Patty LuPone for. They're like, we're going to give you the most like dramatic, like whatever. I also in our recap, I think someone said that they read her character didn't at first have a monologue. It was just flashes of everything, and you put it together. And Patty LuPone was like, no. I'm gonna give a monologue, and like wanted her character to have something to say during that. And I do think that makes
Oh yeah.
it way better that she's like narrating it.
Mhm.
Well, because
While
that
it
puts her in
happens.
control of her destiny rather than like her just being
Yes.
this passive character throughout all of it.
Yes. Thirsty for Dersey also pointed out that I agree with you that they liked the battle because it wasn't just like super CGI. And I think that's why I did like the Death Wiccan Agatha fight, because it was like a little bit of CGI, but of course they're witches. They got the like
Yeah.
whatever
It
powers, but it smashed
didn't
shit
go
had a set.
it didn't go on
Yeah.
too long. It still felt, yeah, like you say, like they were like, she was pulling the bathtub out of the house. It felt a lot more grounded. It wasn't just
Yeah.
Wanda and Agatha like floating up,
Yes.
in like harnesses that were giving them a wedgie,
Yeah.
doing this. Yeah.
And I also
It
love
just
a like
felt-
smash a set fight. Those are my favorite kind.
Mhm.
Exactly. Like it felt very like Charmed or Buffy where they're just like flinging each other for a bit. Perfect. Like Death goes through the house and they throw Wiccan into like the greenhouse. Okay.
Yeah. I
And I love
thought
that what
good, yeah.
greenhouse and he's kind of, sort of dazed and coming to, like that it's still going on outside and they're saying all kinds of, like cunty things to each other, but like you can't hear it, but you just know that it's going to be savage whatever they're doing. It's just like it's almost fun that you get it from his point of view for a moment.
Yeah.
Someone in the comments just said that they didn't like the battle because it was too short. I can understand that too. Like Ashley K. Small,
I liked it because it didn't go on too long.
Ashley K. Small said it did bother her that like when Wiccan is there, we're not seeing like it just like that. It almost felt like the budget because it was like just like lights flashing, and I could see that. I could understand that.
Yeah.
Like being like, there were some moments that I did feel the budget, but I overall I think it worked well for the show. Like I think having the road be like its own set, having like I don't know, like I think of Quantumania and like I don't know, whatever with that movie, but like so many times it was like this is a bad green screen. Like no one is even in this room together. These people are like
I love a practical set. A Quantum Mania, I mean, it was hard to watch. So I'm glad that this wasn't that. And a show like this where it's set in like a neighborhood or like especially like the neighborhood scenes, obviously I'm saying. You have to have it like on a cool set like that. And that set is so cool because obviously it's the Bewitched set and it's the WandaVision set and it has so much history with like witch shows in the past and like old sitcoms, so it's like it's all tied together so beautifully. Them using those sets, I love that.
Until you just said that, I forgot that it was the Bewitched house. It's wild that it's like a set from WandaVision, a set from Bewitched being used in this other show as the house that they like crash through, but on purpose being the Bewitched house, not just like a coincidence.
Yeah, those houses that that neighborhood it's all the houses from like famous sitcoms from like the 50s on. If you go in and look at them all, it's very cool.
I love that. We love that.
Yeah, it's so WandaVision.
Yeah. I know some people were waiting for a Wanda cameo. I wouldn't have minded, but I don't think we needed it. Like I wouldn't have minded a cameo, but I don't think we needed it, right?
I'm glad we didn't get one. I think that would have overshadowed and like distracted from these characters that we've spent the last 9
It would have been what everyone
with.
was talking about the most, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And Billy himself has said like he's in this place emotionally where he doesn't need Wanda. He's not looking for Wanda. And Elizabeth
makes
Olsen is
sense.
promoting a whole other movie. So, you know, it's like she will come back at some point and it'll be great because I love that character. I love that actress. But I'm really happy that we ended with these two characters because they've been the anchor of the entire series.
Yeah, and I think Agatha coming back deserves its own stage, you know.
Yeah,
You don't want to
yeah.
stick it into the end of a story about Agatha and Billy and Rio.
And like, I think that's another reason why this worked is because it did feel like kind of like its own thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
again, I know that you were saying this, Ashley. Like, I also saw people mad at Wiccan. So, like, why wouldn't he want to find Scarlet Witch? And it's like, he doesn't know her. Why would he want to find her? Like,
Yeah.
Also, everything he's heard about her is that she's psychotic and
Yeah, not
enslaved
great, yeah.
a town.
Right. Like Mrs. Davis did not have nice things to say about her, you know.
understandably so. Like,
Yeah.
oh, my mom was so bad. Everyone in this town lives in fear of her. But I mean, he wouldn't even know this. She murdered everyone at, what was it, Carmitage or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right. But I think he was also like really trying to assert that that's not the kind of magic he wants to practice,
Yeah.
that he wants to
Mhm.
be a good witch.
Mm.
So like, it doesn't make sense to be like, oh, I'm going to go find my super evil mom.
Right.
yeah.
It's also a little bit like, and maybe I'm stretching here, but it's like there's a little bit of an allegory where it's like, well, he has parents and maybe they're not technically his parents, but it's like a child of adoption, say. He's like, no,
Yeah.
I have this
Yeah.
family. This is the family that I identify with.
Mhm.
The woman that magically conjured me out of nothing with chaos magic, I don't know her.
Yeah, I knew her for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do always hate. That's like a trope, right, Philip, that they did not play into, which I appreciate. Because sometimes the trope will be like, no, but my biological family is the most important thing. And
So much fantasy media is about like bloodlines and
Yeah.
heritage and like about like, you know, who your biological parents are really matters. And you know, in this was ostensibly the story of the Coven. Here was a story of like a queer chosen
Yeah.
family, and I'm glad that they were just like, yeah, like. Also, she wasn't his. Was she his blood mother? We don't know. But like, yeah,
also
like,
that's true.
She
I
made him
mean,
up.
she did spill some people's blood. There was blood.
There was,
She-
It was definitely blood.
You know,
there was definitely
it
some
wasn't
blood.
hers, but some blood was used.
And like, he doesn't.
I will
even-
say she did give birth. I don't know why. And like, she's doing magic and she still wanted to. She's like, I'm going to really give birth though. But she gave birth. So I would still be
You
like,
are
I mean,
right.
that's my blood mother. Like he came out of her.
Yeah.
Gabby, I didn't even think about that.
That's
Why would she
fair.
want to go through that? Like,
Yeah.
just make them appear in the crib.
Right?
Yeah, no, and I just really I thought Joe Locke, I'm gonna sound like you, Ashley. I thought he did such a good job this whole season with like when he like I think he was such a good choice. And I know a lot of people were like kind of mean about him being picked, but I think I don't know. I've only seen him in Heartstopper, right? Ashley, has he done? I don't know if he's done much
Mm-mm.
else now.
No, I mean Heartstopper was his first, and this was his second, and
Okay.
then the third thing
He's
he did
killing
was
it.
Sweeney Todd on Broadway.
Okay.
So it's like,
Okay. Yeah, no, I think he's killing
Crazy.
it. I think he's great.
Yeah.
And like was even better of a choice. Like, you know, when he was cast, I was like, okay, cool. I like him in Heartstopper. But now I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad we have him.
It's been really fun to watch him stretch like some completely different acting muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like Heartstopper, like the tone is just so different. It's
Yes,
such
yeah.
a YA tone, and he, you know, performs very well within that. The third series where it's the mental health storyline, I think he did really, really great
Mhm.
work. But like to be then in something so big and so broad with Catherine Hahn and Patti LuPone, and to be able to like hold his own,
Yes.
like
Yeah,
I'm like, well done.
I would
yeah.
imagine that's intimidating as well, right? Like all these like
yeah, right.
famous established.
And he really got to like flex his range in this
Yeah.
show. He got to show like a little bit of all the different emotions, which was fun to see.
Yeah.
He had posted like him in the studio with Patti LuPone being like, oh, Patti did The Witches Road in one take, obvi.
Yeah.
So I feel like he was just like having fun, hanging out with like these incredible talents and being like, wow, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for him having to then go on and be in a Marvel movie with like Robert Downey Jr. or whatever. It's going to be less fun.
Yeah.
Like when he
Yeah.
has to go and do
Yeah.
like the Straight Boy project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, what do you think?
Oh, I loved him. I thought he was incredible, and I I've watched all of Heartstopper and I really enjoyed Heartstopper, but for whatever reason, I was still nervous just because you never know, especially with like a British actor playing an American. Sometimes that takes me out of it because I'm like listening, but I didn't take it out of it from out of me, didn't take me out of it at all, which I was expecting it would. But he did a great job. Like the whole time, I wasn't thinking, oh, it's Sherlock from Heartstopper. I was thinking it was Billy Wiccan.
Yeah.
So he did a great job. And yeah, no, I don't understand why people are mean on the internet. I did want to talk about this a little bit. Just, I mean, people in my comments, just because I had like a bigger tweet about this show and about him recently, and just gay men being mean about it in the comments. I'm like, what? I don't understand that. It's so weird to me. So sick. People have like such. I don't know. I think there's issues in the gay community amongst gay men with like standards of beauty.
Yes.
Being very specific, which is so sick and weird.
Yes.
Like
especially when the character is like 16 years old.
Yeah, of course. It's just it's so sick and it's sad and it really makes me angry and it's gross.
I think it's also that like because in the comics Wiccan is like a lot more muscular, so then you have like the Marvel nerds being like it's not comic accurate, and then it becomes like this echo chamber of like this has to be perfectly one-to-one with this character in the comimics.
Not to be mean or anything, but do any of those people look like they're super muscular,
also
accurate,
like
get your house in order?
I made the big mistake. I made the big mistake of right before, I think either right before or maybe, I think it was right before the first episode dropped, engaging with one of those accounts that was like,
no,
oh, like this is like the mental gymnastics you have to do to get to this point.
Yeah.
That it was homophobic to cast Joe Locke because he is so femme. And that's Marvel just like wanting him to be a stereotypical gay guy. And that's not how Wiccan is at all. And I was like,
see that.
I saw
this
that
is
too.
an insane take. Like, this is internalized homophobia. And I had like 85 Young Avengers stands in my mentions furious with me. And like 2 of them were like, get out of our fandom. We don't want you. And I just said, wah, wah, cry harder, baby. Like, I don't
so sick. Such sickos.
Get out of our fandom. Oh my God. Get out of the house.
Right.
Yes. Touch some grass.
I say this as someone with a podcast that is my whole personality. Like, go outside. Get a fucking life. And I didn't realize that was like, until I engaged with that, I did not know how like roof that was. But and then I saw there was that tweet going around where it was like, oh, they should cast someone hot. And it's like, why do you need the 16-year-old character to be like fuckable? Like, I don't understand.
I think he's like very like teen heartthrob though. I don't think he's like not
he's
a
so
cute
pretty.
kid.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's cute. Yeah.
I'm like, put him on the runway. I think he's got those cheekbones.
Him and his
like
you're right. Oh, he even said it himself. And him and his little boyfriend, they were so cute together. I think that is something that like they didn't introduce his boyfriend at all, and his boyfriend is Teddy in the comics, but they introduced a boyfriend named Eddie. So either they're changing the name of Teddy, or we're gonna have to watch him break up with Eddie, which really sucks because I liked them.
I kind of thought that it was kind of like because we were already in the midst of like the road kind of being manifested that everything else was just a little bit off. So I was like, maybe it is Teddy, but because we were already like on this journey, when we see that part of him, that it was like just a little off. So it made it Eddie instead of Teddy.
Maybe he just did a full wander and like made himself the perfect boyfriend out of magic. Who knows?
I was an obnoxiously perfect boyfriend. I loved it, but I was like, damn, no flaws. Okay.
Like, you come out at 16 and the first boy you date and fall in love with is like that. Like, okay, good for you. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, someone commented, the producer did say it's not Teddy. They named him after a loved one in the writer's room. And I did read that. It does feel a little weird to be like, yeah, it's fine. It can be that close. But
he only dates people that rhyme with Teddy. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. I have 2 exes named John. Like, I don't know, sometimes you
happens,
all right, well, I'll let you all go. Thank you all for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Thank you all for watching. We haven't done a live in so long that I was like pretty nervous and very disorganized, as everyone here can attest to. So I appreciate this. And Ashley, we should make sure we do more of these. I say this every time, but this time we will. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can find us on social at SlayerFestX98. And yeah, we'll see you next time. None of you sign out yet because I'm gonna take a screenshot for the thumbnail. But bye, guys.
Bye.
How do I unlock that? I don't know how to do.